welcome to Russian Influence. The guests of our show today are the ARIA Award-winning musicians, the Grigoryan Brothers. Slava and Leonard, thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you guys if you, Slava, remember anything from your childhood, from the Soviet Union?
Yes, well, I was 4 years old when the family moved across to Melbourne. So I do have a few memories.
That's incredible,
all of them
from 4 years old.
They're in black and white, so I'm not sure if they're real memories or from photographs. But no, there are things that I do remember. I remember our neighbourhood in Almaty, and I also remember very clearly the day that my grandfather died. So that was about about 6 or 7 months before we left, and I always used to see him off when he went in a truck to work, and I remember when his companion came back without him from work that day. So that there's a few very, very clear memories. But this is our mother's father, and she was the first musician in her family. On Dad's side of the family, they were all musicians.
And your parents, they were violinists.
Yeah, no, and they still play, and they're very much involved in what we do. But they also had an interesting background. They back in the Soviet Union, they both studied, in a very traditional classical way, but they were both very interested in jazz and American music. So Dad actually he started playing the drums back over there, and Mum, she was a singer as well, and they were really interested in that sort of non-classical music too. So I think that was partly a reason why they were sort of inspired to come to another country.
Yeah.
They could have easier access to that sort of
absolutely.
Sort of music.
Yeah, more freedom in their choices.
Of course, yeah.
So how, Leonard, how was your childhood different to Slava's, do you think?
I don't really know, but I would imagine it would have been quite different. I mean, growing up, I was born in 1985, so a few years after they arrived in Australia, and
from Kazakhstan.
From Kazakhstan, yeah. So I mean, I think my upbringing was just a typical Aussie kids, I guess.
Except that you didn't speak English when you went to prep.
I didn't speak. No.
When you started school.
We definitely we grew up speaking Russian at home, which was good.
You're of Armenian heritage. Do you speak?
No,
what
we
languages
don't.
do you speak?
We speak Russian. We grew up speaking Russian, so the Armenian in our family goes back many generations. So our parents never spoke Armenian. So it goes back.
Yeah, well, like most
far.
people in Soviet Union, a lot of them did not speak their original language.
It was only Russian.
Have you been back to your homeland?
We've been to Russia quite a few times. We haven't been to Kazakhstan.
Leonard, what was your earliest memory of Slava? Your childhood memory?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because he was your big brother?
Yeah, and I mean, Slava's 9 years older than me, so quite a bit older. But that being said, we still played together, and we did all those sort of things.
Fought together.
Yeah, well, there was a bit of play fighting, which I never stood a chance. But I do remember Slav playing guitar and just music in general in the family, in the house, and for me that was the reason why I wanted to start playing the guitar. I was just watching my big brother playing and wanting to copy what he was doing, and I think music and seeing and hearing Slav play was definitely one of those early memories.
Slava, coming from a family of musicians, how did you pick guitar as an instrument of your choice?
Well, actually, I didn't choose it. So, Mum and Dad loved the guitar, but they never had the opportunity of learning it themselves when they were studying music. You know, the Soviet Union back then, the guitar was a very popular folk and popular instrument, but not established at all in terms of the classical repertoire. So very different to the classical guitar in Western Europe and America and Asia as well. Dad heard recordings of classical guitarists when he was growing up, and he loved the sound, but he never had the opportunity of, you know, picking up an instrument or seeing music, any of that stuff, until they arrived in Australia. So the first instrument that they bought me was a guitar, and I loved it straight away. Because of their different musical influences, I knew that the guitar was special in that way, in that, you know, could learn classical music, but even from a very early experience of playing the guitar, I was enjoying improvising, listening to non-classical stuff, and I knew that the guitar had a big role to play in those genres as well, so it kind of made sense that they chose that instrument for me, and then Lenny wanted to do what I was doing.
With your brother.
I had a choice.
Yeah.
We're here in St Kilda now, and this is very much our old stomping ground. So we grew up in a flat about 200 metres away from here. So Lenny and I shared a bedroom there for the first 5 years of your life, I think. And then St Michael's is just up the road here as well. So it's, this was growing up in St Kilda was very much part of our biggest part of our childhood. And it's funny that we're here now after. Well, Lenny's been living in Sydney for a couple of years, and I live in Adelaide. I've been there for 7 years. But
and you have a family.
We both do, yeah. Mm. We both have our own families. Mm-hmm. I've got a 2.5-year-old boy with Sharon, my wife.
She's a musician as well.
She's a musician too, and as I mentioned, we're in Adelaide. We've been there for 7 years now, and I've got 2 older kids who are still in Melbourne. They live here with their mum. They're 15 and 20 years old, Isabel and Paolo.
Fabulous age. And how about you, Leonard?
I've got a 3-year-old and also one on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
In a few months' time, so something to look forward to.
Performances under your belt. So which one would you say, Slava, was your most memorable performance and why?
It's a question that we always think about, and it's always absolutely impossible to answer because, there are memorable concerts, because of the venue and maybe the sound of the venue or the history of the hall, or maybe how wonderful the audience was on a particular night. But then there are other performances that we've had that are, in some ways so much more profound, but they were in places that aren't venues at all. We've played in slums in Mumbai in India, in places where there's no running water and no electricity. We've played in a hospice for people dying from AIDS in South Africa, in townships.
Yeah. That's
and
very kind of you.
Well,
yeah.
the interaction between people who never get to experience the sort of music that we do, in our lives every day.
And
that's
it could have been the last thing they've heard.
Quite possibly,
Potentially,
yeah.
Those experiences we never forget.
Yeah.
No, they're very moving.
Yeah. How about you, Leonard?
It's the same sort of thing. I mean, I think that we've been so lucky that we have been able to travel a lot and play in amazing venues all around the world, and then also these sort of incredible experiences in unusual places. And I think we're also lucky that we do play the guitar, and whilst we are classical guitarists, we do sort of we improvise and we play in other styles as well. And so I think that's also been great, because we've been able to play at other events and places that aren't associated with classical music, like folk festivals and jazz festivals and all these sort of things that maybe more traditional classical musicians wouldn't have that kind of opportunity.
I remember reading on social media, and I thought it was so sweet of you to comment about your brother. You were on KD Lang tour, and you're on the stage, and you're writing that, Slav, it's not the same without you.
Yeah.
It was just so sweet for just the love that you share for each other.
Yeah.
I think, funnily enough, that's an experience that we both had with Katie Lang. 3 years ago, we were touring across all of America with her and her band, and that's exactly when Lenny's son Mickey was born, and so he missed the first 2 weeks of the tour, and so I was doing what we ordinarily do together. I was doing that on my own, and very much missing him, because I hate playing without Lenny.
As a family duo, how does the creative process work?
It's something that's always evolved very naturally. I mean, I guess in the beginning, our parents have been very influential on every level. So starting with how we practiced, to what sort of music we played, to how we performed. Early on, that played a big part. Then, after I for quite a few years before Lenny was 14 years old, I was playing a lot, travelling and performing on my own. And when we did start playing together as a duo when he was 14, obviously at that stage it was a very different dynamic, because I was very much making
experienced,
making decisions, and I guess back then I would have been telling him what to do and how to do it, and the touring that we had back then didn't involve mum and dad, so it was just the two of us and our manager Ruben, who was there from the beginning with us. But then very quickly that changed, and so after we began recording, when Lenny finished school, and we knew that this was actually all we wanted to do, and his playing was developing, getting better and better, and I realised very early on in our duo that there were so many things that he was doing that I could never do, and that it was for me it was a learning experience sharing the stage with him, even back then, and especially in the beginning, I'm sure there were aspects of that Lenny felt, in a similar way. So it's always, from that moment on, it's always been very democratic, but throughout all of our time together, so we've been touring together for almost 20 years now. Throughout that, we've always still maintained a strong professional connection with our parents. Dad has arranged and composed a lot of music for us.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is great. That's a real family collaboration.
It is.
Yeah.
He's always been, you know, providing us with this material, and sometimes we've asked for specific things. Sometimes he gets inspired by something, and that turns into music that we absolutely adore and keep on playing for a long time. And now, you know, now we're more than ever before, we're composing a lot of our own music, and you know, that's turning this musical relationship into another creature again, which is wonderful. It's, you know, it's nice to actually combine our own original works with Dad's arrangements, and so, you know, the family dynamic is very strong.
Together for a family dinner, do the instruments come out?
People naturally always ask that, and the short answer is not really. I mean, we have done that, of course, and when we were younger, we used to play, you know, and do all that sort of stuff a lot more. But in recent times, it's, I don't know. I think, you know, it's such a big part of our lives, obviously, that we sort of
there is a special time for it.
The last time we did it for fun was actually, Dad finished arranging three Bach concertos, which weren't for guitar at all. So these were very unusual arrangements for chamber orchestra and 2 guitars, and we wanted to have some fun. So we tried these arrangements out at home with him playing violin, Mum playing viola, and my wife Sharon playing cello, and so you know, all 5 of us were playing together for quite a while, which was great fun.
That's fun. That's fun. You have so many awards that you have won independently and together. Can you just tell me just one that stands out the most?
Oh, it's a funny thing. I mean, you know.
I know that you won a huge award in Japan when you much earlier on in your career.
Well, no, actually, no. So there's something on. There's something on Wikipedia that is incorrect, and that's about the supposed first prize that I won in Tokyo. And
yes.
I never won first prize in Tokyo.
Just say that you have.
Nobody will know.
Especially if the prize money comes with it. Yes.
And you know. There have been ARIA Awards and other things that have come up, and it's lovely to get any kind of recognition,
formal recognition.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really nice, but at the same time, there's no direct correlation at all between what we love and how much time we put into something and what.
Yep.
You know, if there is an award for it, so it is lovely. It is lovely, but you know, often these things happen with projects that you sort of, I don't want to say, you know, projects that you didn't think too much about. You didn't put as much effort into it. It was just something else to do. And that's happened quite a few times, and there have been projects that we've invested every part of our soul into, and they don't get recognised, which is completely fine.
Yeah, but they probably shape you for your next part of your journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Leonard? If you were in any point in history, like in your fantasy world, who would you like to perform with, if you could choose?
If we could time travel, then of course, you know, meeting some of the great composers that have influenced us, you know, like Bach, or, you know, the great Russian composers, Tchaikovsky or whatever, would be incredible just to spend some time. Well, you know, hopefully they were nice people, but
and to see, you know, to hear music as it was heard.
That would be
amazing.
An amazing American jazz guitarist called Pat Metheny, who, you know, he's been a big influence on both of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, just incredible guitarist and composer. And
how has COVID affected you? Were you able to perform, or online performances?
Not together.
Or have you used that time to write?
Yes, yeah. Because we were separated geographically, being in Sydney and Adelaide, we didn't see each other from March until December during the lockdowns, the state closures here. But luckily for us, we had a project to work on, which ended up being our pandemic project. The National Museum of Australia commissioned us to write music. It turned out to be 18 pieces of music based on objects in their collection. So before the lockdowns... I
saw the exhibit online photos. It looked incredible, very impressive.
It's been a really lovely thing.
And now it's travelling to Adelaide.
Yes, yeah.
So where can people see it?
Well, so the project is out. The album was just released a week or two ago. And
where is it best for people to download your album?
Look, anywhere, you know, iTunes and Spotify. The ABC Classic has released the album, and there are links to pages on their website and on the National Museum of Australia. People can go in and listen to the pieces and look at the objects and the history behind them, and the story from our perspective about these objects.
And you have a lot of concerts scheduled that are coming up.
Oh, coming up now?
Quite a bit, yeah. No, I think, well, so the baby's due early June, so and up until then we're very, very busy again, you know, barring any unforeseen.
What does the future hold for you guys?
Much more of the same. Lots of different album plans, some theatre work. We're writing music for plays as well, and just new projects to keep us, you know, connected and interested in, you know, more music and developing more repertoire for two guitars.
How about you, Leonard? The baby, obviously.
The baby's obviously in the near term, and yeah, I think we already have enough material for another 2 albums, so they'll, you know, in the next year or two we'll be recording some more, and, you know, there'll be more releases and more of the same, hopefully.
Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of Russian Influence, we'd like to wish you all the very best for your future performances and your music career. Thank you so much for being guests on our show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.